No, I didn't. When I was in the Air Force, I was singing secular music, pop music, clubs, rock and roll music, soul music. That's what I was doing, and I won several contests while I was in the military. Now, keep in mind, when I was in the military, that was back during the time that America was engaged in a war in Vietnam, and I did not go to Southeast Asia because my brother was already over there, and they have a law that says that if you already have a relative, a family relative in a combat zone, only one can be in that combat zone at a time. So because I didn't go, I had the opportunity to stay on the United States, and I got involved with singing in the clubs on the base, the officers' clubs, the non-commissioned officers' club, and the airmen's club, and then I got involved in these music contests called Tops in Blue. It was different variety acts that would travel from base to base in the United States and compete. And so I won all of the contests that I was in, all except the final one, which I didn't win.
The news hit like a sudden silence after a final chord. One moment the world of worship music was carrying on as it always had, and the next it was forced to pause and reckon with the loss of a giant. Ron Kenoly, the renowned American Christian worship leader whose voice and songs shaped praise and worship across generations and continents, has passed away at the age of 81. His death on February 3, 2026, marked the end of a remarkable life devoted to music, ministry, and leading millions into moments of collective worship that transcended culture, language, and geography. Confirmation of Kenoly's passing came from those closest to his ministry, with the announcement shared publicly by his longtime music director. The message was simple but heavy with emotion, acknowledging not only the loss of a gifted musician but the departure of a man whose entire life revolved around worship. While the cause of death was not disclosed, the focus of the announcement was not on how he died, but on how he lived, faithfully, humbly, and with an unwavering commitment to his calling. Almost immediately, tributes began to pour in, reflecting the breadth of his influence and the depth of affection he inspired. Ron Kenoly was not merely a singer who happened to perform worship songs. He was a defining figure in contemporary Christian worship, particularly during a period when praise music was evolving from traditional hymns into more expressive, participatory forms. His music helped bridge that transition. Albums like Lift Him Up, Jesus is Alive, and Welcome Home were not just recordings. They became templates for how worship services were structured in churches around the world. His songs were sung in packed auditoriums, small rural churches, urban congregations, and open-air crusades, creating a shared worship language across vastly different contexts. At the time of his passing, Kenoly was widely recognized as one of the most influential worship leaders of the late 20th and early 21st centuries. His signature style, energetic, scripture-centered, and deeply congregational, encouraged participation rather than passive listening. He believed worship was not something performed for an audience, but something offered collectively to God. That philosophy shaped not only his music, but also the way churches approached worship leadership. For many pastors and musicians, Kenoly's work served as both inspiration and instruction. The reaction to his death revealed just how far his influence extended. Worship leaders, gospel artists, and church ministers from around the world shared memories of how his music shaped their spiritual journeys. In Nigeria and across Africa, where his songs became staples in church services, tributes emphasized how Kenoly helped define modern praise culture. Many recalled growing up singing his songs long before contemporary worship music became as widespread as it is today. His impact was not limited to one nation or denomination. It was global and deeply personal. Kenoly's legacy cannot be separated from his understanding of worship as both art and theology. He was academically trained, holding advanced degrees in theology and sacred music, and he brought that depth into everything he did. His lyrics were intentionally grounded in scripture, and his teaching emphasized that worship leaders must understand what they're singing, not just how to sing it. This combination of musical excellence and theological clarity set him apart in an industry that can sometimes prioritize style over substance. Before becoming a household name in Christian music, Kenoly's life followed a less predictable path. He served in the United States Air Force in his early years, performing music during his military service. That experience shaped his discipline and professionalism, qualities that later defined his ministry. After leaving the military, he pursued music more seriously, but eventually felt called to redirect his talents fully toward worship and church ministry. That decision led him to serve as a music pastor at a prominent church in California, where his influence began to grow beyond the local congregation. From that base, Kenoly's ministry expanded rapidly. He began recording live worship albums that captured the energy and spontaneity of congregational praise. These recordings stood out because they felt real. People could hear the congregation singing, clapping, and responding in the background. It made listeners feel as though they were part of the experience, even if they were thousands of miles away. This approach helped redefine worship recordings and influenced countless artists who followed. Kenoly was also a teacher and mentor. He spent years traveling, leading worship conferences, seminars, and training sessions for musicians and pastors. His message was consistent. Worship is not about the worship leader. It is about guiding people into God's presence. Many leaders who attended his sessions later credited him with reshaping their understanding of ministry. He challenged performers to become shepherds and encouraged churches to see worship as a spiritual discipline rather than a weekly routine. As news of his passing spread, reflections on his character became just as prominent as praise for his music. Those who worked closely with him often described him as humble, approachable, and deeply committed to serving others. Despite his global recognition, he was known for treating people with respect regardless of their status. This reputation only deepened the sense of loss felt by those who admired him not just as an artist, but as a person of integrity. Kenoly's family also became part of the public conversation as supporters expressed sympathy and gratitude. He is survived by his wife, children, and grandchildren, many of whom were involved in or supportive of his ministry over the years. For them, the loss is deeply personal, extending far beyond public accolades and tributes. At the same time, the global response to his death underscored how widely his life had touched others. What makes Ron Kenoly's passing especially significant is the enduring nature of his work. Worship songs are unique in that they do not age the same way other music does. Long after trends shift, songs rooted in scripture and communal faith continue to be sung. Churches today still lift their voices with the same lyrics Kenoly introduced decades ago. New generations, many of whom may not know his name, are still shaped by his contributions every time those songs are sung. His death also prompted reflection on the role of worship leaders in shaping spiritual life. Kenoly helped demonstrate that worship music could be both joyful and reverent, both musically rich and spiritually grounded. He proved that excellence and authenticity do not have to be at odds. In doing so, he raised the standard for worship ministry worldwide. As the Christian community continues to process this loss, one theme remains constant: gratitude. Gratitude for the songs that carried people through moments of joy and sorrow, gratitude for a leader who modeled humility, and gratitude for a legacy that will continue long after his passing. Ron Kenoly's life reminds us that influence is not measured only by charts or applause, but by the lasting impact left on hearts and communities. In the end, Ron Kenoly's story is not defined by the date of his death, but by the countless moments of worship he helped create. His voice may no longer lead congregations in person, but his legacy lives on every time a church lifts its voice in praise using the songs he gave the world. His life stands as a testament to what it means to dedicate talent, training, and passion to a purpose greater than oneself. For more in-depth stories and updates like this in the future, hit the subscribe button to stay connected.